I gripped the steering wheel tighter as I turned onto my parents' street, feeling that familiar knot in my stomach. Another Friday dinner, another evening of being treated like the family ATM 8 months of this bullshit, and it wasn't getting any easier. My name's Naomi, I'm 27, and apparently I exist solely to fund my older sister's lifestyle choices. Let me back up a bit. 8 months ago, I showed up for what I thought would be a normal family dinner. I was wrong. My parents sat me down for what they called a family discussion. My sister Vanessa was there with her husband Derek, and their 2 kids, Emma, 4, and Liam, 2. Vanessa has always been the golden child. Growing up, she got the bigger bedroom, the newer clothes, and our parents' undivided attention. I got used to being an afterthought. When she got married at 22 to Derek, an entrepreneur with big dreams and sporadic income, our parents threw them a lavish wedding that they couldn't afford. When I graduated college with honours, I got a card and dinner at Olive Garden. Naomi, my mum had said that night 8 months ago, we need to discuss something important. Her tone made it clear this wasn't a request. Vanessa and Derek need help with their rent, my dad continued. We're going to help them, and we need you to contribute as well. I remember thinking they meant a couple $100. That seemed reasonable. Enough family helps family, right? We'll be giving them $1,000 a month, Mum explained, and you'll be contributing the same. I nearly choked on my water. $1,000 every month. That's insane. I'm saving for my own place while paying rent myself. Vanessa rolled her eyes. We're renting a 2-bedroom house for the kids. It's expensive, but they need the space. Why can't you get a cheaper place or maybe, I don't know, get a job? I asked Vanessa. The looks I got from everyone at the table made me feel like I'd suggested selling one of the children. Derek's career is demanding, Vanessa said defensively. Derek nodded importantly, though his career consisted of sporadic contract work that left them broke more often than not, and I need to be home with the kids. I can't afford $1,000 a month, I protested. Mum's face hardened. Family sacrifices for family, Naomi. Or have you forgotten how much we've done for you? And there it was. The guilt trip, right on schedule. Last Christmas, I'd bought Emma and Liam toys from Target instead of the overpriced stuff from that boutique store Vanessa loved. You'd think I'd given them rocks based on how my family reacted. The entire holiday was ruined by passive-aggressive comments about my thoughtless gifts. So I gave in. Every month for 8 months, I'd been transferring $1,000 to Vanessa, eating ramen more often than I'd like to admit, and watching my savings dwindle. Meanwhile, when Derek had work, they'd post photos of expensive restaurant meals and new toys for the kids. When he didn't, they'd complain about being broke and hit up my parents for extra cash. Today's dinner would be the same old routine, everyone fawning over Vanessa and the kids, Derek talking about his next big project, and me sitting there like a human wallet. I pulled into the driveway, took a deep breath, and prepared for the usual circus. Inside, it was exactly as I predicted. Mum and Dad were on the floor playing with Emma and Liam. Vanessa was sprawled on the couch scrolling through her phone, and Derek was telling my dad about his latest guaranteed success project. "Hey," I said, standing in the doorway. No one even looked up except Dad, who gave a half-hearted wave before turning back to Derek. Dinner was served, and we all sat down, adults at the table, kids playing in the living room. I noticed Mom and Dad exchanging glances, and my stomach dropped. I knew that look. It meant they had another family discussion planned, and those never ended well for me. "Naomi," Mum started, her voice carrying that same authoritative tone from 8 months ago. "We need to have a serious conversation. We've decided to give our house to Vanessa, Derek, and the kids." I looked at my sister and her husband. They weren't surprised at all. They were practically glowing with smug satisfaction. "Vanessa has 2 children," Dad explained, as if I might have forgotten about my niece and nephew in the past 5 minutes. "They need the space. And it's much more economical than continuing to pay rent." That actually made some financial sense, so I nodded slowly. "Okay, so where will you live? Are you getting an apartment?" My parents exchanged another look, this time with small smiles. My blood ran cold. "We won't need to rent," Mum said cheerfully. "We're moving in with you. We'll take the master bedroom. And don't worry about us paying rent, you've got that covered. though utilities will go up a bit with 3 people, of course. I stared at them, my mouth hanging open. You can't just decide to move in with me. I'm 27. I have my own life. My own routine. I'm trying to date. I can't have my parents living with me. Mum's smile disappeared. Family requires sacrifices, Naomi. You need to sacrifice for us now. Vanessa nodded smugly. Don't forget to keep sending me the $1,000 each month, by the way. What? I exploded. Why would I keep sending you money? You're getting a free house. Vanessa looked outraged. God, you're such an egoist. I have kids, Naomi. Kids need things. I'll find a use for that money. Everyone laughed except me. This was a joke to them. I was a joke to them. It's all settled. Then, Dad said with finality, we'll be moving in soon. I stood up, my hands shaking. I need to go. I should clear out the master bedroom for you. What I really needed was to get out of there before I screamed or burst into tears, or both. I drove home in a rage, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. Every memory of being overlooked and taken advantage of by my family flooded back at once. The birthdays where my gifts were an afterthought. The time I got a promotion and no one remembered to congratulate me. The countless times I dropped everything to babysit Emma and Liam while Vanessa and Derek went out, never even getting a thank you. What had they ever done for me? Nothing. Not a damn thing. By the time I reached my apartment, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I wasn't going to let them steamroll me again, not this time. I grabbed my phone and called my landlord, Scott. He was a decent guy in his 50s who owned several buildings in the area. Hey Scott, it's Naomi from 4B. I have a situation I need to discuss with you. What's up, Naomi? Everything okay with the apartment? I took a deep breath and explained the whole situation, the monthly payments to my sister, my parents giving away their house, and their plan to move in with me without even asking. To my surprise, Scott didn't sound annoyed or inconvenienced. He sounded genuinely sympathetic. Man, that's rough, he said when I finished. My brother-in-law pulled something similar with my wife before we were married. Some people just feel entitled to whatever they want. So, about breaking the lease, I asked hesitantly. Don't worry about it. No penalties. Family drama is the worst, Scott said. Then he paused. Actually, I might have a solution for you. I've got another unit vacant in my building on Maple Street. It's about the same size as your current place, maybe a bit smaller. Rent would be similar. If you want it, it's yours. I couldn't believe my luck. That would be perfect. Thank you so much. No problem. When do you want to move? As soon as possible. Tomorrow, if I can arrange movers. Scott laughed. You're not wasting any time. I like that. Come by my office in the morning and I'll have the paperwork ready. After hanging up, I immediately started packing. I worked through the night, fueled by a combination of anger and determination. By morning, I had most of my belongings in boxes. I called a moving company that advertised same-day service and booked them for that afternoon. At Scott's office, I signed the new lease and handed over my current keys. Here are the keys to your new place, he said, sliding them across the desk. What should I do when your parents show up? I grinned. Just tell them I don't live there anymore. Don't give them my new address. The movers arrived at noon, and by evening I was settling into my new apartment. It wasn't perfectly arranged yet, but it was mine, and more importantly, my family had no idea where it was. 2 days later, I was unpacking the last of my kitchen items when my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. We're on our way to your apartment with our things. See you soon. I didn't respond. I just waited, imagining the scene that would unfold. Sure enough, about 2 hours later, my phone exploded with calls. I let the first few go to voicemail, savouring the moment. When I finally answered, my mother was already mid-shout. Absolutely unacceptable. Where are you? There's some man at your apartment telling us you don't live there anymore. That's my landlord, I said calmly. And he's right, I moved out a couple days ago. The silence on the other end was deafening, but short-lived. You what? She screamed, loud enough that I had to hold the phone away from my ear. How could you do this to us? We're standing here with all our belongings. Where are we supposed to go? Back to your house, I guess, the one you still own. This is outrageous. My father's voice came through now. They must have put me on speaker. Give us your new address immediately. We need to bring our things there. No, I said, surprised by how firm my voice sounded. I'm not giving you my new address because you're not moving in with me. Naomi, my mother was back. You are being cruel and ungrateful. You put us in a terrible position. That was rich, I put. You in a terrible position. You decided to move in with me without asking you were going to take my bedroom. You never once considered what I wanted or how I felt. You never have. That's not true, my father protested weakly. It is true. Everything has always been about what Vanessa wants, what Vanessa needs. I'm done being the family ATM and doormat. We're your parents, my mother said, her voice catching. You can't just cut us off like this. I'm not cutting you off. I'm setting boundaries. Go back to your house, figure out your own living situation, and maybe when you learn to respect me as an adult, we can talk. I hung up before they could respond. Not even a minute later, Vanessa was calling. I picked up, bracing myself. What the hell is wrong with you? She screeched without preamble. Mum and Dad are coming back to my house now. This is so unfair. You need to take them. Quiet, I said sharply. The command was so unexpected that Vanessa actually stopped talking. I'm done solving your problems, I continued, and I'm done sending you money every month. As of right now, those $1,000 transfers are cancelled. You can't do that, she shrieked, finding her voice again. We need that money. You selfish bastard after everything. I hung up, blocked her number, and my parents' numbers too. Then, I opened my banking app and cancelled the automatic monthly transfer to Vanessa's account. As I put down my phone, I felt lighter than I had in years. The guilt and obligation that had weighed me down for so long were gone. In their place was something new, pride. I had finally stood up for myself. I poured myself a glass of wine, the good stuff I usually couldn't afford, and looked around my new apartment. It wasn't perfectly set up yet, boxes still littered every surface, but it was mine, my space, my rules. The peace I'd found in my new apartment didn't last long. After about 2 weeks of blissful silence, my extended family started calling. First was Aunt Carol, my mum's sister, Naomi, sweetie. I haven't seen you in ages. Where are you living now? I'd love to come visit and see your new place. I wasn't born yesterday. Did my mum put you up to this, Aunt Carol? A pause. Well, she might have mentioned she's worried about you. I'm fine. I'm just not sharing my address with anyone right now. Next was Uncle Mike, then my cousin Tiffany, then even my dad's bowling buddy Steve, who I'd met maybe twice in my life. Each call had the same awkward energy, forced casualness, followed by not-so-subtle fishing for my new address. Look, I finally told my grandfather, the last in this parade of family spies. I know Mum and Dad are behind all these calls. I'm not giving anyone my address. Please tell them to stop using you all as their personal investigators. Grandpa had the decency to sound embarrassed. They're just concerned, kiddo. They're concerned about their plans being ruined, not about me. I corrected him. The call stopped after that. I thought maybe they'd finally accepted my decision and were moving on. I was wrong. One Tuesday evening as I left work, I spotted my parents' blue Subaru parked across the street from my office building. I pretended not to notice them and walked casually to my car in the parking lot. I could see them in my rearview mirror as I pulled out. They were following at a distance, trying and failing to be inconspicuous. I smiled to myself. Did they think they were in some spy movie? I drove directly to the Westfield Mall, occasionally, checking my mirror to confirm they were still tailing me. They hung back several cars, but that blue Subaru was unmistakable. When I pulled into the mall parking lot, they found a spot with a clear view of my car. Once inside the mall, I called my friend Rachel. Hey, I need a favour. My parents are literally stalking me. They followed me to the mall and they're watching my car. Can you pick me up at the north exit? I'll leave through there while they're still watching my car at the south entrance. Girl, I'm on my way. This is the most exciting thing that's happened to me all week. I spent about an hour browsing stores, occasionally peeking out the windows to see my parents still dutifully watching my car. Rachel texted when she arrived, and I slipped out the north exit, grinning as I imagined my parents waiting for hours for me to return to my car. "Get in, loser. We're escaping your psycho family," she said as I slid into her car. We both burst out laughing. "I can't believe this is my life," I said once I'd caught my breath. "My own parents are stalking me. Have you considered a restraining order?" Rachel asked, only half joking. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that," I replied, though the thought had crossed my mind. Over the next few months, my parents made several more attempts to find my new address. They tried following me from work 2 more times, but I was vigilant. They sent more relatives to call me with increasingly transparent excuses. Eventually, the surveillance stopped. No more mysterious calls from distant relatives, no more parental stakeouts, nothing. It was strange how quickly I adapted to the silence. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't constantly anxious about family obligations or unexpected financial demands. I started putting the $1,000 I used to send Vanessa into savings each month. I went on dates without worrying about my parents showing up unannounced. I bought a nice couch without feeling guilty about wasting money on myself. I was happy. Really, genuinely happy. Then came the email, 2 weeks before Christmas, from Mum. "Naomi, I hope this email finds you well. It's been several months since we last spoke, and your father and I have had a lot of time to reflect on our actions. We realise now that we overstepped boundaries and didn't consider your feelings. For that, we are truly sorry. Vanessa wanted me to tell you that she's found a job at the elementary school as an administrative assistant. She and Derek are renting their own apartment now, and they're managing their finances independently. They're doing well. Your father and I are still in our house. After you left, we realised how unreasonable our expectations were. We should never have tried to force ourselves into your life that way. We would very much like to see you this Christmas. Nothing fancy. Just family dinner at our house. No demands, no expectations. We miss you, Naomi. We'd like a chance to make things right. Please consider it. You don't need to respond right away, love, Mum." I read the email 3 times, not quite believing what I was seeing. An apology from my mother. And Vanessa had a job. Was this a genuine olive branch or another manipulation tactic? After a lifetime of being the less favoured child, of having my boundaries trampled and my generosity exploited, could I trust this sudden change of heart? I closed the laptop without responding. I needed time to think. That night, I dreamt of childhood Christmases. The way Vanessa would rip open mountains of presents while I carefully unwrapped my much smaller pile. The way Mum would beam when Vanessa hugged her but barely notice when I did the same. The constant comparison, the persistent feeling that I was somehow less worthy of love and attention, but I also remembered glimpses of genuine connection. Dad teaching me to ride a bike. Mum nursing me through a terrible flu when I was 10. The rare moments when Vanessa and I got along, sharing secrets and giggling late into the night before our relationship soured in our teens. Were those moments enough to build a new relationship? Could we ever have a healthy family dynamic, or would I always be the afterthought, the backup plan, the walking ATM? I didn't have answers. All I knew was that I'd found my strength, my voice, my boundaries. Whatever happened next, I wouldn't lose those again. I stared at my mother's email for days, the cursor hovering over the reply button before I'd close, my laptop and walk away. Christmas was a week away, and I still hadn't decided what to do. I drafted and deleted a dozen replies to my mum's email. None of them felt right. Too cold, too forgiving, too tentative. Finally, I wrote, "Mum, I'll come. For Christmas dinner, what time should I be there?" Short, non-committal, but not rude. I hit send before I could change my mind. My mother's reply came less than an hour later. "Naomi, we're so happy you're coming. Dinner will be at 5. Your father is making his special prime rib. Just bring yourself, no gifts necessary. Love, Mum." The no gifts necessary part caught my attention. Usually my family made a big deal about expensive presents, especially for Vanessa's kids. This was different. The week leading up to Christmas was a blur of last-minute work deadlines and holiday preparations. Despite my mum's assurance that gifts weren't necessary, I picked up small presents for everyone, nothing extravagant, just thoughtful tokens. I wasn't going to change who I was just because they might have changed. Christmas Day arrived cold and clear. I dressed carefully in a sweater I liked, not the one Vanessa had once told me, at least hide your stomach. I drove to my parents' house with a knot in my stomach, rehearsing responses to potential provocations. If they ask for money, I'm not in a position to help financially right now. If they pressure me about my address, I'm happy with my living situation and prefer to keep it private. If they criticize my life choices, I appreciate your concern, but I'm comfortable with my decisions. I pulled into the driveway, took a deep breath and approached the front door. Before I could knock, it swung open. My mother stood there, looking somehow smaller than I remembered. She stepped forward and hugged me, not the perfunctory embrace I was used to, but a real hug, tight and lingering. I stood stiffly for a moment before cautiously returning it. Inside, the house smelled like prime rib and pine. My father appeared from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a dish towel. "There she is," he said, smiling hesitantly. He too embraced, me patting my back awkwardly. "Merry Christmas, kiddo." "Where are Vanessa and the gang?" I asked, glancing around the suspiciously quiet house. "They'll be here at 5, Mum explained. "We asked you to come early. We wanted some time just with you." This was definitely new. I followed them to the living room, where a fire crackled in the fireplace and 3 mugs of hot chocolate waited, on the coffee table. "Naomi," Dad began once we were seated, "we owe you an apology, a real one, not just an email." I nodded, waiting. "We've been unfair to you," Mum continued, "for a long time, not just with the housing situation." She looked down at her hands. "We've favoured Vanessa. We've taken you for granted. We've treated you like your only value to this family was financial." "Why?" I asked simply. It was the question I'd wanted to ask my entire life. My parents exchanged glances. Vanessa was always more demanding, Dad explained. She needed more attention, more help. "You were so independent, so capable. We leaned on you because you seemed like you could handle it. We mistook your strength for immunity to being hurt," Mum added. "That was wrong of us." I took a sip of hot chocolate, processing their words. "And Vanessa? Has she had a similar epiphany?" They exchanged another look. "She's working on it," Dad said. "Getting a job has been good for her. Derek too. He's taken a steady position with an accounting firm. We talked for over an hour, really talked, in a way we never had before. They asked about my job, my friends, my new apartment, though they didn't press for the address. I found myself slowly relaxing, cautiously optimistic. At 5, the doorbell rang. Vanessa, Derek, and the kids had arrived. I braced myself for the old dynamic to resurface. Vanessa entered first, the kids trailing behind her. Her eyes found mine immediately. "Naomi," she said, her voice uncharacteristically subdued. "Merry Christmas." "Merry Christmas," I replied neutrally. An awkward silence fell. Then, to my utter shock, Vanessa stepped forward and hugged me. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I've been a terrible sister." I froze, completely unprepared for this. Vanessa had never apologized to me for anything in her entire life. "I thank you for saying that," I managed. Dinner was surreal. Vanessa talked about her job with genuine enthusiasm. Derek discussed his new position without a single mention of getting rich quick. The kids were well behaved, and when Emma spilled her juice, Vanessa cleaned it up herself instead of expecting Mum or me to do it. No one asked me for money. No one made passive-aggressive comments about my life choices. No one tried to make me feel guilty for setting boundaries. After dinner, as we exchanged the modest gifts we'd all brought, I found myself laughing genuinely at Dad's corny jokes, accepting Mum's compliments without searching for hidden barbs, and actually enjoying my niece and nephew's excited chatter. As I prepared to leave, Mum walked me to the door. "Will you come for New Year's?" she asked tentatively. I hesitated. One good evening didn't erase years of being treated as an afterthought. Trust would take time to rebuild. "Let me think about it," I said honestly. She nodded, accepting my boundary without protest, another good sign. In my car, I sat for a moment before starting the engine. The evening had gone well, suspiciously well, a cynical part of me thought. Was it all an act? Would they revert to form once they thought I was back in the fold? Only time would tell, but for now I was proud of myself for coming, for facing them on my terms. Whether our relationship could be truly repaired remained to be seen. But I knew one thing for certain: I would never again be the family doormat. I had found my voice and I wasn't going to lose it again.